Last week, we kicked off our Going Pro series with a two-sport star at SFA who has his sights set on medical school. This week, we're going to introduce you to another two-sport athlete, and as Kevin John found out, things really heat up when this LeTourneau star steps away from the field.
Kennedy Keer isn't like most students at LeTourneau. The Maryland native is more than 1,000 miles away from home, but she's too busy to be homesick, balancing her time between playing two sports and a grueling academic schedule.
This is Kennedy Keer. And this is Kennedy Keer. So who is Kennedy Keer?
My major is engineering with a concentration in materials joining. Basically, it's a welding engineering degree. I have to do a quarter of a weld and then switch to another member so that way the heat distribution, it doesn't burn through as well.
Kennedy may appear like she knew she wanted to be an engineer since birth, but interesting enough, she fell into this passion by mistake.
I actually signed up for a baking class for a Votech school in high school, and they misplaced me into the welding class. So I didn't even know what welding was. I just learned to love welding after that. They actually offered me to switch into the baking class a week later, and I turned them down because I just really loved it.
When she initially arrived at LeTourneau University, Kennedy had plans to just play soccer and study engineering, but somehow she ended up being a dual athlete.
They do the off season for cross country, and so it's just a shortened track season. And so me and my friends, we were like, oh, like on the soccer team, we were like, oh yeah, let's do that. Like it'll get us in shape for soccer. And then Coach Kessler was like, you're doing cross country. And I was like, no, I don't think I am. I'm not a runner. And he was like, no, you're doing it. So I was just like, okay, I guess I'm doing cross country.
And as with any two-sport collegiate athlete, managing your time can be a bit of a challenge.
So sleep is a hard thing. I really work on it, sleeping and eating. If I can sleep a normal amount and get at least 2 meals a day, I call it a good day. I just try to look ahead, I guess, because one of the big things like with track and with soccer, it's like, okay, I know for a fact we're leaving this weekend, so I have to travel on Thursday. So that means I have to have everything done by last weekend. And so it's just, I just kind of have to be prepared. Another advantage to this is since it is an FCC structure, it doesn't have any DBTTs.
The easiest way to describe Kennedy is like she's a fighter, and that's you'll kind of get that from her professors, the soccer coach, and me, because she's doing so much in that. It's not easy, it's always hard, and she is pushing herself farther and farther every single day, and that's really what makes her so exceptional.
Even with all the challenges on the field and in the classroom, her faith is what keeps her going.
Honestly, most of my drive comes from God. I feel like He brought me here for a reason, brought me here to be a welding engineer, brought me here to be an athlete, brought me here to be a good friend to people who need it. And so He's done everything He can for me. Why not return the favor?
And when it's all said and done, Kennedy understands her true calling.
I feel like God gave me gifts to be an athlete, but I don't think that's where He wants me to be. And I think engineer is definitely where my calling is. I don't know, I'm ready to be retired. I'm ready to be a retired athlete. I'm ready to do hot yoga and water aerobics and all that and just be a normal muggle, you know?
With her degree in hand, Kennedy already has a job set up at Columbia Energy and Environmental Services in Washington State. And in the distant future, she hopes to weld sculptures and other artwork. Back to you.
As we mentioned last week, two sports and a career is already a lot to take in. To learn how to weld on top of that. And what the most fascinating thing is, I mean, you heard it through that story. The girl has nothing negative to say, not a negative bone in her body. The whole Raw interview is just upbeat, happy.
She just wants to do hot yoga.
Right.
And
She
talk
said
about
she's ready
muggles.
to retire. So I'm with her on that.
She's done with the athletic career.
All right. Thanks so much.